Joining me now on the podcast, one of my all-time favorite comedians, straight from apparently his hotel room, Myq Kaplan.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Right? Oh, God. Thank you. There must be just off camera. Also, this hotel room is my bedroom. My girlfriend makes things look nice.
Well, you've got two lamps in there that appear to be from somewhere in the East, and they probably are something that an archaeologist found.
My girlfriend, the archaeologist, found them in a a burial site at a Goodwill. So
They're cool. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Now, you're in your bed that you share with her?
That's right.
How's that going, by the way? You guys been together how long?
Almost 4 years. It'll be very soon. What if I said it'll almost be pretty soon 4 years? So we haven't met yet, but 2016, mid 2016 is when we met. So we're on our way, and it's going well. We like each other. We love each other. We're happy to live together. We do share this bed. However, here's something that I don't know if this little tip for anyone who might need. We don't share a blanket anymore. We each have our own separate blanket because I have I move in the night, and sometimes I take blankets with me or make them be where they weren't moments ago.
Whose idea was that?
It was her. I was fine no matter what. Sometimes I wake up with no blanket or with all blankets in the world, and everyone's like, "Where's our blanket?" I'm like, "I've got it, I guess." I don't know how that happened, but yeah, it was her idea. Anything like physical, tactile, kinesthetic, spatial related, that happens. That's her view in our home. I deal with time. She does space, and I do time.
That's a great balance. My wife and I don't even share a bedroom anymore, Myq.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just been, I guess, maybe a year and a half. She really values sleep, and she's a very light sleeper. And if she gets woken up, it's sometimes hard for her to fall back to sleep.
Of
And
course.
we have different preferences in terms of she always wants a sound machine going on and different temperatures in the room. In the summer, she loves air conditioning. I like the sound of the crickets singing me to sleep, and I don't mind like even a hot night and a fan. So we just sleep in different rooms. What is your response to that?
That sounds very mature. And if you want, I mean, if the choices are sleep in the same room and at least one of you, if not both of you, are unhappy, or sleep in separate rooms and you both have the capacity, the chance, the opportunity to live the way that you want to live, that sounds great to me. I mean, it sounds like, I mean, if you're unhappy, then stop it. Get out of there. Leave.
Right.
Abandon. But it sounds like
it's working. It's really working for us. All right. So if you don't want to share with me because it's too personal, but how are you and your girlfriend weathering this in terms of what is her type of work? And are you guys a home in the apartment together on top of each other?
She's right underneath me right now. I'm sitting on top of her. We've actually, for the past several months, she broke her ankle in December.
Oh dear.
And got surgery. And so she has been working for a jewelry designer, and she would go into the jewelry department of a store and represent their jewelry. But since she broke her ankle pretty badly, she has, for the past several months, she was actually cleared to go back to work starting, I think, next week.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we've been practicing for this. Like, sincerely, she used to go to work, up to 5 days a week, and would come home and sometimes, need space then. And it was actually, I think, more challenging initially to navigate being in the apartment together when she was working outside the house. I was home on my own. Then I'd be excited for her to come home. I'd be like, now we can play. And she's like, I've been engaging with people all day. And so now we've sort of developed over the course of our relationship in general, and then over the past several months being here at the same time in specific, to now where we definitely, we have 2 rooms, classic, lots of space, New York apartment with 2 rooms.
Very nice. That's very nice. That's big time.
a kitchen and a bathroom. Those are the 2 rooms.
Yeah.
So we're in our bathroom right now. This bed is set up there.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that everyone knows I'm joking. There are rooms that are not the kitchen and bathroom. The kitchen is very small, but yeah. So sometimes she'll be doing her thing in one room, and I'll be doing my thing in another room, and it's good to sort of communicate either directly or at least indirectly to determine like who wants to be where doing what. But yes, we have been and are in the home together. Though also for the last we just got back on Saturday from a week away. I was on if you want to get 6 feet back from your microphone, from your earphones, we were on a cruise.
What?
That was really good physical comedy that you just did
I
there.
happen to be on a rolling chair. For
Oh
those of
my
you that are missing out on the podcast, check it out at youtube.com/standupwithpete.
I like it a lot.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what you were on a cruise for a trip for vacation? You don't do comedy on cruises, do you? Or if you do, that'd be awesome for those people on the cruise because you're very, very funny. But I didn't know if you did or not.
This was the second cruise that I've ever performed on. The
Oh,
first
wow.
one
Oh,
was
great.
several years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I went for a few days onto it was as I performed as a vegan comedian, which is those are 2 things that I am. I am a vegan and a comedian. So that cruise a few years ago I was specifically invited because it was called the Holistic Holiday at Sea, and they had like the all vegan meals, all plant-based things, and they had a bunch of talks and workshops it wasn't like your classic stereotypical, as you might imagine, cruise. It had like nutritionists and doctors giving speeches about bodily health. They had meditations and sound healings and other types of sort of spirit health things. And then they also probably, what is it, mind, body, spirit, they probably had things for all 3 of those. There was like a doctor or somebody who had written about animal cognition and gave talks on animal consciousness.
Wow,
So
that sounds
yeah,
really unique.
I'm a conscious animal. But this cruise was not that, but it was also a specific, do you know Jonathan Colton?
I don't.
He's a musician. He does the music, I believe, for Ophira Eisenberg's NPR show, Ask Me
Okay.
Another. And he also created the music, I believe, for the video game Portal, I want to say. And so he is this comedic musician who is buddies with these other comedy musicians, Paul and Storm. And together this was the 10th year that they do this cruise. His name is Jonathan Colton. It's called the Joko Cruise. And every night, it was for 7 nights. Every night they have musicians, comedians, podcasters.
Wow.
And
Who books it?
Paul and Storm are the people that we were on a show. Yeah.
How'd it go? I mean, so guys were on a cruise ship when this outbreak pretty much was heating up. I mean, it was just last week.
It was bananas. Like, I mean, to get in advance of the cruise, like we left on March 7th. And so like leading up to it, they were like, if you've been on the boat or if you've been like out of the country to these specific countries, you can't come on the boat. So I think like, for example, like maybe John Hodgman was supposed to be on the boat, but he had been to Italy recently, so couldn't come on the ship. So there were a lot of precautions put in place. And then on the ship, there was tons of hand sanitizer everywhere. There was the culture of elbow bumping started like immediately. There were super, and obviously what we're learning more and more now about that it's not just human contact, that it's like breathing the same air, that they're just breathing near a person with it could be the thing. But
keep your distance, Kaplan.
Yeah. My microphone is like at least a foot away from me, and so by the time it gets to you, I think it'll be all clear digitally.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so the cruise was incredible. The community that they've established, like of this Joko cruise community, it's like one of the most inclusive, diverse. Like they have like people of all ages, races, ethnicities, points of origin. There's tons of there were like cosplay days, people dressing up. It seemed there were tons of people of all different like sexual identities and orientations, and it was like the norm. Like when you got on, they gave you a name tag. They said, write your name, write something that you're happy to talk about. They give you a sticker for your gender identity, your pronouns if you'd like.
Wow.
And that's sort of like assumed. They give you these little buttons that say yes, like a green button that says yes, I am into friendshipping right now, or a red one that says no, I am not in the mood for friendshipping right now. And so even though we're on the boat, there's 2,000 people on the boat. It's like the whole boat is this community, and everyone kind of gets it, and it encourages and fosters this community of sort of compassion and inclusiveness. There's like a ton of like polyamorous people on the boat, like
What
to the
I'm
point that
talking about.
oh yeah, I mean, my girlfriend and I are monogamous, but I have a lot of jokes about polyamory and like having been in open relationships in the past, to the point that they did have like polyamorous meetups on the boat. But it seemed really, I told them this, it seemed more to, it would have been more appropriate to have monogamous meetups for the few people who are like, oh God, I'm not part of the one relationship that all these 2,000 people are in aside from me.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
really like a singular wonderful experience. Oh, there's a musician who I'd seen in the 90s and hadn't really engaged with since then, that I saw at a folk festival, the Falcon Ridge Folk Festival, where I actually first met these guys, Paul and Storm, as well. And also had seen Ani DeFranco had been there, Dan Byrne, one of my favorite musicians. This guy Vance Gilbert is incredible. Please go see him live if you can. But he was on the ship, and just every time he played music, like we cried. It was just like the way
Really?
that.
I want me to bring up some of his music right now,
Oh,
maybe.
go
What is
ahead.
his name?
Vance and Gilbert. Vance
Okay.
Gilbert.
I'll look him up while you tell me if anybody was wearing the pin that said not into friendshipping right now. I didn't know that was. I've never heard that as a word, friendshipping.
Oh yeah, I believe that is what it said, and I definitely did see people once in a while with it. It's like, if you're at lunch alone or you want to be reading a book. Particularly, I think it might come in handy for the. There were aside from me, there were a few other comedians, many other musicians. There was like a woman named N.K. Jemisin, who is apparently one of the maybe the best, the foremost sci-fi writers
Wow.
alive today, writing today, working today.
What do you do? Watch her write? Does she give talks?
She did a book reading, and then there were panels as well and workshops. Like Vance did a performance workshop as well, which, as
Here he
I'm a
is.
person who has performed for almost 2 decades now, and I watched him and listened to him, and I'm like, oh yeah, those are he knows. Like there was people at the top of their whatever their genre, whatever their oeuvre, like they like these singular sensational artistic spirits on board there. It sounds like I was on like a floating cult, and it kind of was for a while, but it seems like, and we couldn't contact our families, but only for a little while because we were on the ocean.
That
Oh
him?
yeah, that is him.
What kind of music is
Unfamiliar
this?
Moon. It's folk music. He is close to, he's in his late 50s, I believe.
Everything is new.
Wow, he got a wonderful voice.
Oh yes.
Everything has changed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow, that sounds like a really fun.
Like a
What's it called again?
baby child.
Joko, the Joko Cruise.
Cool.
And yeah, I was, because we were floating on the ocean a bunch for a while. Without internet, I read, I think, 3 books in addition to going to all these activities, workshops,
wow.
shows, and I did a few podcasts. I got my most recent one with Vance, who's just a force of music, art, comedy, life, fun, wisdom, compassion.
You taped episodes with them as your guests for your podcast.
I did.
That's awesome. That sounds really, really fun.
And
check out Myq's podcast, everybody. MyqKaplan.com with a Q. And the name of the podcast is
Broccoli and Ice Cream is the name of the podcast.
Broccoli and Ice Cream.
Thank you, Pete.
And what do you talk about on it?
I talk with people about the work of their life and the joys of their life as represented by, respectively, broccoli and ice cream.
I love it. So everybody should listen to that. Let me bring Vance down, although I don't
sure. And I'll just say, being on that ship, they don't like you call it a boat, but I do enjoy calling it a boat. Being on that, it's like how comedians, they're like, oh, what kind of skits do you have? I'm like, oh, it's not actually, I don't do, anyway, it's a boat. So I'm on this big boat doing skits in the ocean. And
they don't want, I get it. We're not supposed to call it a boat, and they're not supposed to call what we do skits.
That's you have it 100%. And we were kind of, because we were so removed, like we realized later in the week we did have access to like TV and the New York Times, but for the most part there was very little internet, and so we didn't take in a lot of news. So we were kind of like, we're like, is this civilization? Do we have to repopulate? Is this, I mean, I think we can do it, and we've got some fine folks here. But it was nice.
You thought you might have been on the Ark of Humanity?
Maybe, yeah. And but yeah, so we went on this weird adventure, like kind of separate from everyone before. And while we were gone, we saw that the news was like, don't go on cruise ships. I'm like, okay, well, should we, now that we're on it, should we stay here or get? But as far as we know, everyone turned. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I know that the incubation period can be like a couple weeks, so we're sort of self-quarantining as much as possible, as much as necessary.
So let's get real deep, because
Yeah.
I thought of you. Well, first of all, before we get too deep, and maybe we will with some of your material, you're obviously writing jokes about what we
sure.
are all going through. I mean, this is a human nightmare, but it's a comedian's dream because it's a shared experience, right?
Oh, it 100% is. So yeah, I mean, I actually did a quote unquote a show last night. My buddy Nat Towson has a new material night at the Pit every Sunday.
All
and
right.
He did it last night, just cyber style. We just, so hard, not quite a show with comedians in front of an audience, but kind of, comedians on a Zoom meeting like this, or a Twitch or Skype or whatever it was, and people tuning in if they wanted. And we did. I shared some of the jokes that I've come up with, and mostly, obviously, not been able to tell in front of live audiences, but have put online. So,
can you pick a couple for me? You can also read Mike's. He's tweeting a lot of jokes at Myq Kaplan. That's MyQ Kaplan.
Oh yeah, I 100%. Here's, for the foreseeable future, I will be doing stand-up comedy only for takeout and delivery. So that is, if you want to come to my house, I'll whisper you some jokes safely through my front door gate. I've been noticing, like, obviously we've been holed up for a little while now, so, for the last few days at least, since we got back, and I've been watching some TV shows, watching some movies, and whenever I see people embrace or shake hands,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, elbows! I'm just yelling elbows at the screen, like distance, social, like we've changed our. I feel like the culture has changed for the good, to help protect everyone so quickly. But it's so strange that even just TV shows from, if they made it a week ago, if they made it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we were watching a movie the other night, and these two women shared a bottle of some liquor, and I was like, "What are you doing?" The Corona
gets their own bottle now, and I mean, even if it's like a fight, if it's like a boxing movie or a fight movie, like an action movie, I'm like, hey, don't punch each other. Like, aren't you thinking about your own? Like, at least like try to hurt his feelings. Just like say a mean thing, or do it like a roast, or at least elbow him. Elbows.
Not the same at all. What else? Are you you're tweeting all of these jokes? Are you just writing them all day and tweeting them?
Pretty much. There's a handful. Here I've got quarantine tip number 1. I'm hoping that I have more, but so far I have at least one, which is if you worry about running out of toilet paper, just try to not poop for several weeks. I think it'll be okay. And if you worry about running out of food, just try to not eat, which that part is 100% a joke, obviously. But if you don't eat, then you'll probably be more successful at not pooping. But it's important to eat. That is serious. But also do try to not poop. I want you to try to eat but not poop for as long as you can, just to be clear.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't.
Good luck. That's one way to lose weight. Now, do you know why anybody is buying toilet paper? I still haven't figured it out. I heard there was one thing that people thought, that if you got this virus, you were going to get diarrhea along with it. But still, even so, I don't know.
I think, I mean, it really doesn't totally make sense, other than
I'm reading one of your tweets, enjoying the Walking Dead sequel, Sitting Alive.
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun. It's also a Bee Gees sequel, I think. So
is that right?
My sincere speculative take on why to stock up on toilet paper would be just that it's best to stock up on the necessities, like, because it's better to go to the supermarket once, for a month, and not go every week or every few days or however often you would go. So you want to get a lot of food, and perhaps maybe somebody was like, stung once in the past. They're like, I stocked up on food, got everything I needed, and then they had all the food. But if you don't have the commensurate amount, the corresponding amount of toilet paper to go with the food, then you still need to go out, or you've got some real trouble on your hands, literally. You've got and trouble is poop. That's what I call poop. I gotta go drop a little trouble in the bed. A little trouble.
Well, why? I mean, I just feel like also if you ran out of toilet paper and you had a bathtub, everybody's now got a bidet. I mean, just
It's true. I mean,
rinse your crack out. You'll be all right.
uh,
Right?
I do think that it's not toilet paper isn't the number one concern, but we bought a lot of it just in case. We brought back some from Florida when we flew back on the cruise.
Is that right? You brought toilet paper back on the plane?
Well, we were so scared. We were scared by people, like by the pictures of, because whether or not it's necessary, we had seen a lot of photos of different supermarkets. Like certainly tons of places are out of hand sanitizer and those kind of disinfectant wipes, which seem are valuable in a way. Though who knows how much. I don't know if you watched the guy that Rogan had on, who was like the biggest virus, like adult doctor informed person. I forget his name, but sort of speaking to, I think he's told Joe is like, I'm scared, and he's like, I'm not trying to scare you out of your wits, I'm trying to scare you into your wits.
Right.
So like I recommend taking that in, but for sure we didn't know if they're whether or not we certainly need toilet papers, and we were like, if it's all gone because everybody got it, we fortunately, my girlfriend's father, who lives in Florida, has been I think he has enough toilet paper forever. So
he's been stocking up. He's a Costco. I mean, that's a lot of families. We go to and buy them by the case. So I just feel like we had enough. So let me ask you the deeper, more profound question, which is, to me, you and I have known each other for a long time. I've always, shared with you different questions about life and philosophy. I've always felt like you've had a unique and original take on a lot of things. You're very, I don't even want to use the word progressive, but you always seem to be ahead in the way that you think and as positive as can be. And I wonder, I feel like because we've never experienced anything like this, and because our parents didn't either, it's hard to know how to deal with what we are experiencing right now, especially because we don't know exactly what we're experiencing or how long it's going to be or how bad it's going to get or what life is going to be like. So it seems difficult to kind of wrap your mind around how to think, how to behave, and how to feel, and how to even control your anxiety. So I don't have really any answers because this is uncharted ground, it feels like. What about your thoughts on how to think and feel about what we are all experiencing, Myq Kaplan?
I mean, that's a great question, and I 100% was just thinking earlier today, like of growing up, and there never being told that you might ever have to ask the question, like, mommy, like, what do we do when there is a severely just a fast acting like this kind of thing. Like I'm grateful that I've never had to
Mommy, what does outbreak mean?
I mean, yeah. It's zits, just zits. That's all.
Why can't I go to the playground? Our playground's just closed. We just got a notice. I mean, kids are. You could try to protect them all you want. You probably shouldn't. You probably be as honest as you can, age appropriate. But I interrupted you. Sorry.
Oh no. I mean, this is a conversation. Like, here are some valuable things that I've like gleaned and heard over the past few days, like listening to people. Like, I think it's valuable to listen, especially to, like, Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers.
Yeah.
And I do understand that he was also speaking to children who it's good for them to look for, the adults who are helping. And for us as adults, it is important. I believe that I saw this today from this rabbi I follow, Rabbi, I think, Danya Ruttenberg. She's a wonderful follow on Twitter. I first came across her, I think that's her name, when she had tweeted, I am a rabbi. This is like a few years ago now. She's like, I am a rabbi, and as such, I'm paraphrasing, but she's, as such, words are very important to me, so I choose my words very carefully every time that I decide what to say, and fuck you, President Trump.
Ah, She is on Twitter, by the way, at the RADR. That is
Oh, yes.
Rabbi Danya Rutenberg.
So she is wonderful, and she posted something today, and I think I've seen it before, that, look for the helpers is like perfect advice for a child. And the additional advice, I think it's good for adults too, but an additional piece of advice to adults is be the helpers. And the way that you can be a helper is by like seeing who does know things, because there is lots of nobody has all the information. Nobody knows nobody can make everybody do exactly the right thing. But like this virus expert who was on Rogan's podcast, I'm like, this guy knows things. It's valuable to listen to him, even though some of the things that he's saying is like people are going to get sick. Like some percentage of people are very likely going to die, and it's good to know that and be prepared for it, and then also do all that we can to not have it be worse than it could be. Like there's a best case scenario, there's a worst case scenario. Like there would have been a better best case scenario if certain procedures had been put into place a year ago, several years ago, a month ago. But we are here, we are where we are.
Yeah.
And I think that I think most of the people that I know and I've talked to about it are if you've read the news, if you've taken a lot of information about this, I feel like it is serious, and people understand that it is serious. But there are some people who are like, even my mother the other day I was on the phone with, and she told me that she had gone out to dinner the night before. She lives in New Jersey. And I was like, oh, like, have you not taken in all of the media that I have to know that even, only what's necessary at this point, like, not just for, like, she was like, I'm kind of a fatalist, if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. And that's an oversimplification that is, I think, technically not, it's as true as this. Like when I was a kid, and this might be something, maybe it's an old joke, but I feel like my grandmother said, or some relative said, she's like, winning the lottery, the odds are 50-50. You either win or you don't. There's only two ways it could go. So you're either going to win or you don't. And clearly, if anyone, it's a fun joke, but definitely the odds of winning the lottery that millions of people try to play, the odds are not 50-50. And so for this, yes, maybe you get it or you don't. Also, you don't know if you get it, if it's going to be one of the bad kinds. Like you could be asymptomatic and give it to somebody else, and they have it the worst.
So much anxiety. That tweet, by the way, that she wrote is Rabbi Danya Rutenberg. She wrote, people love to quote Mr. Rogers saying during a crisis, look for the helpers. But he was talking to children. The implication is that we, the grown-ups with any capacity, need to be the helpers. That's going to look different in this crisis, but look for ways to help. And I think that's really good advice, and probably a great place to wrap this. But I want to keep checking in with you because I know you're going to be right there in that spot between those two lamps.
Oh, I will be here. It's my Zach Galifianakis cover band, Between Two Lamps. And I will say, just to wrap it up,
Sure.
One of my other jokes, tweets, truths, thoughts about this point is that one of the things that we can do, I think it's better to over prepare for this and be like, oh, I guess we didn't even need to do all that, than to under prepare. Like I saw a tweet by Kumail, like he had retweeted a guy who was in Italy 2 weeks ago. He's like,
I just saw that.
Like America now, and now they're in lockdown. So in order to, it's not inevitable that it's going to be as bad. And the way that it's not inevitable is that we can start acting now. And one way that you can be a hero, like the greatest thing is, it used to be a hero, you had to run into a burning building and help people. And
no, not just stay home and watch porn.
Stay in your own building, and you're helping yourself and you're helping other people. And so if you're not worried about yourself, think about the older people, think about the immunocompromised people who you basically, like, we can help everybody by not moving, by doing the most basic nothing. And so that's like, a beautiful silver lining is that, look, by us being here right now and not moving at all, like there's some number of lives that are saved in aggregate the more people don't go outside.
Yeah, no need to die on the hill, just Netflix and chill.
Look at that. Look at you.
I just thought of that.
I like it. That's good. You should put that.
I love you, buddy. You're always a positive force, always funny, always interesting. Thanks for doing this with me, and I'll check in with you very soon. Check out Myq Kaplan. Check out all his albums. Buy all of his stuff. Follow him on Twitter. Listen to his podcast. And as always, buddy, I'll plug all these things in the show notes. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Pete.
much for doing it.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Talk to you soon.
You too.
Listen to Stand Up with Pete Dominick anywhere you get your podcasts and subscribe to youtube.com/standupwithpete.